Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a topic that affects every single one of us, whether we realize it or not: income inequality and poverty. It's a huge, complex issue, and we're going to break it down, looking at it from a global perspective, but also bringing it home to what is happening right here in Indonesia. So, grab a seat and let's get into it. First up, how do we even measure inequality? When we talk about income inequality, we're talking about how unevenly income is distributed throughout a population. You've probably heard stats like the richest 1% own X% of the wealth. That's the core idea. Globally, the picture is complicated. On one hand, the gap between the average incomes of different countries has been shrinking. Big developing nations like China and India have seen incredible economic growth, lifting millions out of poverty and closing the gap with wealthier nations. But here's the twist. While the gap asterisk between asterisk countries has shrunk, the gap asterisk within asterisk many of those same countries has actually grown wider. The rich are getting richer faster than everyone else. This isn't just a phenomenon in Western countries. It's happening right here in Asia, including in Indonesia. Now let's talk about poverty. How do we define who is poor? There are a few ways. The most common is the poverty line, which is an income threshold. If you earn below that line, you're officially considered poor. In Indonesia, our Central Statistics Agency, or Badan Pusat Statistik, sets this line. For 2021, it was around 454,000 rupiah per person per month. That's about $1 a day. Under this measure, about 7% of Indonesians were living in poverty. But a simple line doesn't tell the whole story. Poverty isn't spread out evenly. It's much more concentrated in rural areas and in certain provinces, particularly in the eastern parts of Indonesia. While we've made amazing progress in reducing what we call absolute poverty over the past few decades, inequality has been on the rise. This brings us to a crucial point. Measuring inequality is tricky. The numbers don't always capture the full picture. For example, official income stats often don't include in-kind transfers. These are things like government-provided healthcare, education subsidies, or food assistance. If you receive these, your actual standard of living is higher than your cash income suggests. Think about leisure time, too. Many high-income professionals work incredibly long hours, while some lower-income individuals might have more free time, even if it's involuntary. How do we value that time? Then there's the difference between temporary and permanent income. A student might have a very low income now, but their future earning potential is high. A farmer might have a great year followed by a bad one. We really need to look at people's long-term financial stability. And maybe the most important factor is intergenerational mobility. Can someone born into a poor family move up the economic ladder? Or does poverty get passed down from one generation to the next? A society with high mobility is seen as more fair, even if there's inequality at any single point in time. So, we know inequality exists. The big question is, what, if anything, should we do about it? This is where philosophy comes in. There are three major schools of thought on redistributing income. First, there's utilitarianism. The basic idea here is to maximize the total happiness or utility in society. Utilitarians argue that an extra dollar means a lot more to a poor person than it does to a billionaire. Think about it. An extra 1,000 rupiah could buy a meal for someone struggling, but for a millionaire, it's practically nothing. This is called the diminishing marginal utility of income. So, utilitarians would say we should redistribute wealth from the rich to the poor, up to the point where the loss of happiness for the rich equals the gain in happiness for the poor. It's a very practical, almost mathematical approach to social well-being. Next, we have liberalism, but not in the political party sense. This is philosophical liberalism, championed by thinkers like John Rawls. He asks us to imagine a scenario where we're all behind a veil of ignorance. We don't know if we'll be born rich or poor, talented or not, into a supportive family or a difficult one. From that original position, what kind of society would we design? Rawls argued we would choose a system that protects the most vulnerable. We'd want a strong social safety net just in case we end up at the bottom. For liberals, inequality is okay as long as everyone has a fair shot to equal opportunities. The government's job is to level the playing field, not necessarily the outcomes. Finally, there's libertarianism. Libertarians prioritize individual liberty and property rights above all else. From their perspective, as long as wealth was acquired legally and without force, it's yours, period. Forcing someone to give up their money through taxes to help someone else is, in their view, a violation of their rights. Libertarians argue that the government should have a very limited role, and that helping the poor should be left to private charity and voluntary action, not government coercion. These are three very different ways of looking at the same problem, and they lead to very different policy recommendations. So let's talk about those policies. What are the actual tools governments use to fight poverty? One of the most debated is the minimum wage. The idea is simple: set a legal floor for how much employers can pay their workers. This can directly boost the income of the lowest paid workers. But economists are divided on its effects. Some studies show it can lead to unemployment, as businesses might not be able to afford as many workers at the higher wage. Others argue these effects are small, and a minimum wage is crucial for ensuring a basic standard of living. It can also be a tool to fight monopsony power, which is when a single large employer in a town can push wages down because workers have no other options. Then there are welfare programs. This is direct assistance to poor households. It can come in the form of cash or as in-kind transfers like food assistance, housing subsidies, and healthcare. Here in Indonesia, we have a really interesting and successful example called the program Keluarga Harapan, or PKH. This is a conditional cash transfer program. It gives cash directly to poor families, but with strings attached. The families have to ensure their children attend school and get regular health checkups. The goal of PKH is brilliant. It doesn't just provide immediate relief from poverty. It invests in the future by building human capital, by ensuring kids are educated and healthy. It helps break the cycle of intergenerational poverty. Studies have shown that PKH has been effective in increasing school completion rates and improving health outcomes for children in poor families. Another interesting idea, though not widely implemented, is the negative income tax. Imagine a system where instead of you paying taxes to the government pays you if your income is below a certain level. As you start to earn more, the payment you receive from the government gradually decreases until you reach a point where you start paying taxes like everyone else. The big advantage of this system is that it always provides an incentive to work. You're always better off earning an extra dollar because you only lose a fraction of it in reduced benefits, not the whole thing. This brings us to one of the biggest challenges in designing anti-poverty programs: the work incentive problem. Many traditional welfare programs create what's called a poverty trap. Imagine a program where you lose $1 of benefits for every $1 you earn. That's effectively a 100% marginal tax rate. Why would you take a low-wage job if you end up with the same amount of total resources? This is a huge dilemma for policymakers. How do you help people in need without discouraging them from working their way out of poverty? This is why programs like the negative income tax and Indonesia's PKH are so compelling. They're designed with these incentives in mind. PKH encourages investment in the next generation, while the negative income tax ensures that work always pays. So, where does that leave us? Income inequality and poverty are not simple problems with easy solutions. They are deeply intertwined with our economic systems, our political philosophies, and our social values. Measuring the problem is complex. The philosophical justifications for action are diverse. And the policies themselves have trade-offs that we have to weigh carefully. From a global perspective, we've seen progress, but the benefits of growth haven't been shared equally. Here in Indonesia, we've made great strides in reducing absolute poverty, but the growing gap between the rich and the rest is a challenge we need to face. Programs like PKH show that innovative, well-designed policies can make a real difference, not just for today, but for generations to come. The conversation doesn't end here. This is an ongoing debate in every country around the world. Understanding these different perspectives, utilitarian, liberal, libertarian, and the pros and cons of different policies is the first step toward having a more informed discussion about the kind of society we want to build. What are your thoughts? Do you think our current policies are on the right track? What else could we be doing? Let me know down in the comments. I read every single one. Thanks so much for watching, and if you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the big issues shaping our world. I'll see you in the next one.